today. I'm sitting here today in front of some amazing models, and I'm here with Mr. himself, King Fluff.
Thanks for having me.
No, it's a pleasure having you here. So we've been sitting down, having a cup of tea, eating donuts, and just chin-wagging about models from different companies in general. So today we're going to be looking at these fantastic Megarachnids. I think that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And you're going to walk us through them. And to bear in mind, you've sculpted all these up.
Yeah.
And built them yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. So it kind of really started from I guess a boredom or a reluctance to kind of follow lots of power armor stuff into heresy gaming. So what I really wanted to do was look at the Great Crusade era. So all of my legions that I've been working on are all kind of Great Crusade based rather than heresy era. So there's less skulls and kind of flayed bodies on my Night Lords and things. So kind of what I wanted to do was kind of look at the factions that are kind of addressed in the Horus Heresy novels, but which aren't really kind of dealt with in a lot of detail, and they're not really an army as such. They're just kind of a footnote in how awesome Space Marines are. So I thought there's a really good opportunity there to start looking at other armies and doing other alien forces that aren't Tau, Necrons, Eldar. So something that's a bit more pertinent to the Great Crusade. So I've been working on some kind of rules for well, it's 12 different alien armies so far. The Megarachnids were one of the first ones because they seem to be very popular. Lots of people latched onto the idea that the Marines really got their asses handed to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a brilliant part in one of the books, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where the Blood Angels go in and get wiped out.
Yeah, and that doesn't happen very often. So it's quite
it
nice
doesn't.
to see that.
But I think it's always good seeing an alien force that the Space Marines just don't get.
Yeah,
you know, and they misjudge how effective they're going to be as well.
And there's quite a few of those in the Great Crusade. Well, in the Horus Heresy novels. Yeah. I mean, if you think that the Megarachnids were put on Eurozark murder by the Interrex, so if you think that it took almost a couple of legions worth of Space Marines to subdue the Megarachnids.
Yeah.
But the Interrex did it after they were infested a whole star system. You think?
Yeah.
Must mean the Interrex were far more powerful.
Didn't they just dump them on a planet and take away all their space technology?
They have kind of the kind of Interrex have this policy that everything has a right to live, unless you're Chaos, and then they're really not big on the whole Chaos element. But so their idea was that we'll remove the Megarachnids' spacefaring capacity and turn a planet into a zoo, so they can do their own thing, but they can't kind of start messing up in people's gardens and go through their bins and stuff. So I mean they really struck a chord with lots of people. So that the plan is to make kind of 1,000 points for each of the armies that I've been kind of writing rules for. But the Megarachnids were kind of the first point. I was kind of working on a few simultaneously, but they're the ones that leapt forward a little bit quicker than the others. Primarily because I think a lot of people are kind of like, oh, they're cool, we'd like to see more of those. Yeah. So there's a few units that I've written that I haven't actually made as yet, or they're in the process of being made. But generally the kind of HQ troops element is kind of squared away. And kind of just working on finishing them off now for Armies on Parade for the 25th.
Hi guys, and welcome back. So here we are, and we're looking at what's the technical name for this?
They're called Warrior Clades.
Warrior Clade.
Warrior Clade.
Okay, so tell us all about the Warrior Clade.
So they are there's kind of two principal Megarachnids that are kind of described in the book. One is the Warrior, and the other one is the Clades. So these are the flying variety, kind of death from the skies affair. And these are kind of described as picking up Marines and then kind of sticking them as trophies on the side of these kind of mushroom kind of type trees.
Yeah.
So kind of I wanted to get something that looked like it was actually flying, so kind of position the wings right. Then you've got the front claws, which are the attacking claws, the kind of saber-like claws that the others have, and then the two next legs. So obviously they've all got 8 legs. So the 4 legs in the middle are then used for picking up prey.
Yeah.
So they're kind of more like the the kind of clamps on the Thunderhawk transporter, kind of like that, just a bit more stabby and painful. And then the back legs kind of bent up behind, so it looks as though they could be kind of hovering or skidding across the battlefield. but they still have legs, so they can land and they can stand like their kind of counterparts, but perhaps not as effectively because they haven't got 4 legs. Because I think one of the kind of tenets of them is that because they've got 4 legs, the warriors, they're very quick, they're very speedy. Obviously these guys are quick because they've got wings,
Yeah.
but the others are quick because they've got 4 legs, so they can actually run like a horse.
So that, I mean, it's a beautiful, absolutely beautiful piece, and it's really well designed. It's very organic looking as well. You know, some sort of models can look very sort of like fake.
Yeah.
And this has got, I could imagine this like buzzing around, and me getting a tennis racket out to take it down.
Tennis racket.
Yeah, it could be a big tennis racket. But even at this size, I mean, I'm holding it this size. If that was flying around, I'd leave the room.
Yeah.
You know, it just doesn't look nice. So, what's the sort of construction time of this from beginning sculpt? How long did it take to do the first original?
It's difficult to say really, because like I said, I've been working on lots kind of simultaneously. But in terms of it's drying time, isn't it, with putty and all that sort of stuff? It's just waiting for it to kind of cure.
Yeah.
And then kind of I'd kind of ordered in metallic white metal wire kind of things from Dragonforge in the States, so that took time to arrive and that sort of thing. So it's probably kind of just sculpting and making one, and then kind of getting paint on it. You're probably looking at a month, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, just to kind of get it sorted.
Yeah.
And it's I mean, the stuff like this, it's obviously just a labour of love. It's kind of, it's me kind of wanting that completeness of like, okay, we've got Space Marines, we want other things in the universe as well.
I've got to say that whole battle though is an amazing battle.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I mean, there's quite a few other ones that I'd like to see, sort of thing as well.
And I quite like the Nephilim one with the Blood Angels and the Lunar Wolves, where the Lunar Wolves are kind of a blockade, and the Nephilim kind of come at them, and then the Blood Angels just descend on jump packs from the sky, and that's quite cool.
It's absolutely devastating. Okay, so this we're going to move on to next. What's next for us?
Perhaps go the Warrior now.
Okay, so here we have the Warrior. Now, tell us a little bit about the Warrior.
So this is the kind of standard bug that's more prevalent in the kind of brood armies. So kind of really wanted to kind of follow the description as much as possible. So the idea of this kind of silver carapace, so they're like silver shod beetles that are kind of glinting past you in the forest and things. The kind of zinc type coloured blades, and then they're all described as having a kind of bony head crest. So what I kind of extrapolated from that was that the bony head crest would suggest rank. So if you've got a larger head crest, you're more senior, or you've been around longer, or whatever. Yeah. But obviously it's quite because it's described as being bone coloured, so very similar to the trees and kind of the whiteness of the grass. Yeah. Even though the bugs themselves are silver, so there's a quite a nice contrast there of kind of like the bony head and then the rest of the body. And kind of I took some of the ideas, and a guy called Jake Scott gave me some of the ideas about some of the other units. I met him at one of the Tempest Fugitives weekends, so he kind of came up with the idea that you had elite troops as well, which are kind of like bodyguard troops, that would be kind of these silent killers. So they'd have black carapaces, because the Clades in the book are described as having glossy black carapaces. So between us we kind of saw, well, these Shadow Widows would have black carapaces, but they'd be matte because they're more stealth and they're going to sneak upon you and eviscerate you without you even knowing that they're there. Yeah, yeah. So the kind of the standard build was the Warrior. So kind of with the 4 legs, and a lot of the development time of it came from how do you make something with 4 legs that isn't a horse with a long torso stand up without it looking weird. So it was kind of a lot of playing around with the position of the holes where the legs kind of plug into, and then the length of the legs as well, because 2 legs are shorter and 2 legs are longer because the socket's a bit further up. So the idea of getting those in the right place and kind of making it look as though it works and looks like it could walk and run was something that took ages to kind of...
For that,
lots of scrapping of things, going, oh, for God's sake, it doesn't work, and then kind of going back to the drawing board and kind of, okay, this might work. Oh no, this doesn't work either. And so that's the come at me, bro. Megarachnids.
Come at me, bro. That is really nice. So they spit like they've got like a venom, have they?
Yeah, I mean it was kind of taking lots of different. Again, Jake Scott helped me out with some of the weapon profiles. It was making sure they had something that was kind of as devastating as some of the weapons, especially the 30k weapons where you've got Volkites and graviton guns coming out the yin yang. It's quite nice to have something that is equally as powerful. So the Venerate, kind of, if you imagine Breath of Chaos, it's kind of something like that.
Okay.
So it's designed to melt marine armor. So when you've got 5 of these guys all kitted out with Venerations, so you've got 5 flamers coming at you, you're gonna think twice about assaulting them, because
exactly.
they're gonna melt your face off.
Shoot them from a range, I say.
Yeah, I mean and I think that's again kind of really looking at how these play and how they're described in the book. So the idea that these guys, they don't fare well to just bolter lines.
Yeah.
So if you've got say Iron Warriors or Imperial Fists just standing in rows of bolters and just hammering them with bolt rounds, they're going to die in droves.
Yeah.
But the idea is in the book they hide in cover and they sneak out of these big long kind of grass stems and they just attack without warning. So I kind of tried to balance them out like that to make sure that, you know, if you're going to stand and shoot them, they're going to die. But if you're clever with them and move them around cover, and they're going to be unstoppable when they get into combat. This is kind of fluff based, so this is something I kind of put in as a kind of there must be one of these kind of elements. So this is the Venom, which is the male of the brood, which kind of transfers his genetic code, which then allows the queen to kind of lay eggs and the species to kind of propagate. So I kind of looked at a lot of beetles and the idea of a peacock, so the male being very brightly coloured to attract a mate, and then kind of praying mantis kind of flooded in there as well. So the whole lot premise is that because they are combat orientated, they're sentient beings, that the Venomors prove themselves in combat, so they're kind of gladiatorial. Yeah. The winning Venomor then is taken to the Queen's chambers and is consumed by the Queen, partly or wholly. If you remember the remake they did of V. Yes. Where the kind of the old big open mouth is just eats him. Yeah. Kind of like that really. So then that genetic code is then processed and synthesised, and then she produces eggs and lays eggs from the very strongest of the kind of males that are laid. But so to that end, I wanted something that was really brightly coloured. So again, back to the old Citadel paints, metallics, to get that really nice metallic beetle.
Do you know, it's a shame they don't do these colours anymore.
And to be honest, I've had them for it must be 20 years.
It's unbelievable.
And they're perfect. Yeah. Still liquid. They're absolutely perfect.
That's just unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, it's an art keeping your paints, you know, not going off, especially with some of the new lids that just tend to pop open by themselves. Yeah. But these are absolutely astonishing. But
really they're still as liquid as the day that I bought them. So and I've barely used them, so they have been opened, but they just and they cover really well as well. It's not as if, you know, they're very watery. So
no, they're beautiful.
Sort of one coat and it's sorted.
It's they're very vibrant colours, aren't they? Even on the camera, but when you look at them in the flesh, or in really the resin, zingy, they're really zingy. Yeah.
So I didn't want to kind of go too big with her, because I think I didn't want like a warrior that was just massive and that was the Queen, like Giga's Aliens, where the Queen's just a massive version of one with a big head crest. What I wanted was something that was more kind of specialised. So the Venomor's really specialised in terms of what he does, but then I wanted the Queen to be similar. So the idea of a big egg sac, because that's what she does. She produces eggs, she lays eggs. So she's quite weak in terms of a unit and in terms of HQ, but then you've got to be careful with everything else to kind of protect her, and because ultimately that's kind of how ants work. You know, the Queen isn't this massive kind of humongous creature, slightly bigger than the others, but then the worker ants protect her when, you know, the hives are attack, the nests are under attack. So she's kind of the standard sort of size as a warrior, but then she's got this large egg sac on the back. But then kind of she can be augmented with different weapon options, so she can be a bit more combat orientated. But I quite enjoyed making the sphincter on the back of the egg sac. Don't know whether you can get closer.
So I think we can just get a little bit there, which is always nice to see. I can't say it, but it's it's a beautiful piece, absolutely beautiful. So. Is this all sculpted, the entire piece?
That's actually the underside of a Trevagon.
Ah.
But kind of instead of it being the way that it is on Trevagon, it's upside down. So I kind of flattened it out at the bottom and
sphincter on the back.
And that did a sphincter on the back. Yeah. So. So she's not very quick. She drags that big massive egg, kind of like the Queen Alien.
Yeah. When she's attached to the egg sac,
She's not very effective. She just sort of stands there and produces eggs. So I kind of wanted a similar thing for her. So not a massive Uber HQ. She's certainly not going to go toe to toe with a Primarch or anything.
No.
But she adds kind of buffs to the rest of the army, and she produces eggs, and she's more of a kind of thematic piece really, rather than being a kind of a game winner.
Yeah.
In terms of the rules.
And what sort of colours are you going to go for on her?
She's going to be very similar to the Warriors, so she's going to be kind of silvers, silver carapaces. Perhaps do some blue washes on the perhaps some purple washes as well on the egg sac, just to kind of make it look as though it's, because they have metallic skin. So the idea of what happens when you push a metal sheet to its kind of zenith, what stresses do you have and what colours does that generate?
Hi guys, and welcome back. Okay, so we're now towards the end of the video. Thanks for sticking through it. We've had lots and lots to talk about, which is always really exciting. But as said, here's a competition where you can win all of this. Now, King Fluff, he makes these beautiful bases which you can use for any gaming system, and it's up to you what you want to use them for. But these are really amazing. Now, this is the Desert Collection.
Yeah, Parched Desert.
Parched Desert, and these have been sculpted by your fair hands.
Fair hands, yeah. And
I've got to say, these are absolutely amazing. One, because he's got his own packaging, which is just really, really cool. And I think that's just absolutely brilliant with his logo on it and everything like that, so you can see it just there. Now, the nice thing about these is there's different sizes for your different units and stuff like that, or for different gaming systems that you play in. Or if you want to do a nice diorama, there's some larger bases here, or if you own some GW Knights, for example, you could possibly put it onto there.
Some big fellas.
Some big fellas, you can mount them up on there. So we've come up with an idea for a competition, and you can win all of this, which we'll send to you, but unfortunately only one person can win, and I'll let you announce it.
Okay, so what we're looking for is the best example of a scenic base. So can be any size, and doesn't matter whether it's a 25mm or 170mm oval or a diorama base. But we're looking for the best example of what you call a scenic base.
So that's no minis on it.
No minis, just the base.
Just the base itself, and the competition ends on November the 30th.
That's right, yeah.
At 12 midnight UK time, or GMT time to you Americans out there. Also add it as a reply to this video, and Mr Fluff himself will choose a winner, and we'll send this all out to you. So guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me today, Mr Fluff.
Thank you, thanks.
I should say Mr King Fluff. I always call you Mr Fluff. That's terrible, isn't it?
Makes you sound a bit like a pimp.
Yeah, it does make you sound like a pimp. I can't get that out of my head now. That's horrible. Right, so listen, guys.
Is it the gold teeth?
It's the gold teeth that does it, yeah. Okay, guys, you be safe, you be good, and I'll see you very, very soon.